We've all heard that honey is good for you, that it's some kind of magical cure-all. Well, today we're going to get into the science of it. We're going to look past the folklore and explore the incredible, evidence-based reasons why honey might just be one of nature's most powerful medicines. And this is nothing new. I mean, for thousands of years, across practically every culture on Earth, honey has been a go-to remedy. As researchers like Adeyemo point out, it's one of the oldest traditional medicines we have. There's even a whole field called apitherapy, which is all about using bee products for healing. So that really begs the question, right? Is this all just an old wives' tale passed down through generations? Or is there some hard scientific proof that honey is actually a potent medical weapon? Well, that's exactly what we're about to find out. So here's the game plan. We'll start by talking about why this ancient remedy is suddenly so important right now. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of a specific study, uncover honey's secret weapons, and look at the truly surprising results. And finally, we'll ask the big question: what could this mean for the future of medicine? Okay, first things first, let's talk about a very modern and very scary problem. Because to understand why honey is so important now, you have to understand the crisis we're facing. And that crisis is antibiotic resistance. The miracle drugs that have saved countless lives for decades, they're starting to fail. Bacteria are smart. They're evolving into these superbugs that our best medicines just can't touch. And that, right there, is an enormous threat, which has scientists scrambling to find new alternatives. And that urgent search for alternatives is what takes us to this amazing study from Southwestern Nigeria. Researchers there decided, hey, let's take this traditional knowledge and put it under a modern scientific microscope. Their mission was pretty straightforward, but really important. Could local honey actually fight off the kinds of dangerous bacteria you find in infected wounds? So they went out and collected a bunch of different honeys, from very light to super, super dark, to see what would happen. So how did they test it? Well, they used this really cool method. Think of a petri dish as a little battlefield. First, they spread a layer of a specific bacteria all over it. Then they punch these little holes or wells into that layer. They drop a different type of honey into each well, and then they wait. And here's the cool part. If the honey works, it creates this clear ring around the well where it's killed all the bacteria. They call it the kill zone. And the bigger that zone, the more powerful the honey. Simple, right? All right, so we know that it works, but how does it work? What is honey actually doing to these bacteria? Well, it turns out it's not just one thing. Honey has a whole arsenal of secret weapons it uses. The science points to a few key players in its toolkit. It's hygroscopic, it has a really low pH, so it's acidic. It has an insanely high sugar content, and it's loaded with these things called phytochemicals, which are basically powerful compounds from plants. And here's a huge hint. Those phytochemicals are often what gives honey its color. So darker honey, yeah, it tends to have more of that good stuff. Let's break these down. Okay, first up, this crazy word, hygroscopic. It sounds complicated, but all it means is that honey is a moisture magnet. It is desperate for water. So when it comes into contact with a bacteria cell, it literally sucks all the water right out of it. The bacteria just shrivels up and dies from dehydration. It's a purely physical attack, and it's absolutely brutal. And that high sugar content does something similar. Through a process called osmolarity, it creates what you could call a bacterial desert. There's just so much sugar and so little available water that microbes can't survive, let alone grow and multiply. It's just a completely hostile environment for them. So, the scientists knew the theory. They had their experiments set up. But what happened when they actually put the honey to the test? Well, the results were, wow. They were even more dramatic than anyone could have guessed. There was one pattern that just screamed from the data, loud and clear. It was all about the color. The darker the honey, the bigger the punch it packed. The super dark amber honeys were consistently the champions, creating the biggest kill zones every single time. Just look at this. This is the test against Staphylococcus aureus, a really common and sometimes dangerous bug. The light honey, yeah, it did something. A kill zone of about 8 millimeters. Now, the standard antibiotic they used did way better, 24 millimeters. But look at the super dark honey, 27.3 millimeters. It didn't just compete with a modern antibiotic, it actually beat it. And if you think that's impressive, get this. They tested it against another nasty bacteria, Pseudomonas aeruginosa. And in this case, the antibiotic did nothing. It was totally ineffective against this particular strain. But the dark Nigerian honey? Oh, it had no problem at all, carving out a massive 29.3 millimeter kill zone. This is huge. It suggests honey can work where our modern drugs fail. and it works incredibly fast. When they looked at the clock, they found that this super dark honey killed 94.6% of another bacteria, Bacillus subtilis, in just 2 hours. 2 hours! This isn't a slow burn, it is a swift and deadly attack.
So after seeing all that, what are we supposed to do with this information? I mean, these aren't just cool facts. This research doesn't just confirm an old belief, it could be pointing us down a whole new path in our war against infections.
I mean, listen to the study's own conclusion. They found that this honey has potent broad-spectrum antibacterial activity. Broad spectrum is the key phrase there. That means it's not just a one-trick pony. It's effective against a whole wide range of different bacteria. Which leaves us with this one final, kind of mind-blowing thought. As we face this terrifying future where our superdrugs don't work anymore, could the answer actually be waiting for us in nature? As we look for the pharmacy of tomorrow, could it end up looking less like a high-tech lab and a whole lot more like a beehive?